Leigh Brown here. This is Crazy Shit in Real Estate. Today, you're going to see me sad because the guest today, if I'd known her a year ago, I would have had a different investment property under my belt. But hey, it's all right. I'm here to learn with you. Sarah Weaver is with us to talk about short-term and mid-term rentals. And by the way, there is a discount to her book in the show notes. So make sure that you visit the show notes, enjoy the episode, and I'll see you on the other side. You're listening to Crazy Shit in Real Estate. You'll be amazed at all these wild but true situations that others have found themselves in. Because on this show, you'll hear uncensored, unbelievable stories from the world of real estate. I'm Leigh Brown. Let's dive right in. So now, where are you located? Where are you furnishing Airbnbs? Where's the core of your business?
Everywhere. So nationwide. I am actually fully nomadic, which is just a fancy word for homeless. And so I have been full-time traveling for 4 years.
Okay. So, and I know that's not our topic today, but I got to know more about that. So how did you land up a nomadic lifestyle? What led to that? Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So I've always been an avid traveler. It's like my number one passion. I like talking about traveling and real estate, and that's about it. And so in 2015, I set out to have a job that's location independent. I didn't call it digital nomad back then, but now that's what I call it. And that was way before COVID. And so it wasn't commonplace to have a job that said, yeah, we don't care if you live in Brazil, but I got one. I worked for a real estate recruiting company with top real estate agents all across the country. I placed 280 ops managers, assistants, marketing managers with Keller Williams brokerages and agents nationwide. And my boss said I could live anywhere. So that's how it started. And then how it's still going is now I'm my own boss and I own 3 companies. I own a small real estate portfolio and manage everything from afar, and the rest is history.
Okay. So you do own real estate, just not a primary residence. So where do you stay? Do you stay in other people's short-term rentals, or do you stay in hotels, or do you couch surf? Where do you spend the night?
So last year I spent about 5 months in Central America, 2 months in Mexico, and about a month in Europe. And so that's a mix of friends' houses, lots of Airbnb. I should have like a frequent flyer card or something with Airbnb.
Yeah, why haven't they developed that yet? That is, now that you say that out loud, they totally should have that.
Exactly. Because the only time that I choose hotels over Airbnb is because I can use points. And
Sure.
So if Airbnb had something like that, but yeah, lots of Airbnbs. I lived in a van in New Zealand during the pandemic. I lived in a villa in Bali. I had my own apartment when I lived in Brazil. Yeah, a big mix.
So what's your favorite place you've ever stayed more than a week?
Oh gosh. I mean, most places I go to, I stay more than a week.
Okay, so then more than 2 months. We'll draw a line there.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, New Zealand will always have a very special place in my heart. It was so beautiful. The borders were closed, so it was so quiet.
You were stuck.
Yeah, it was amazing. Happily stuck is what I called it.
Were you near the lavender plantations? Because that's my favorite thing in New Zealand. I literally just stopped on the side of the road and was like, I could stay here forever. Because I guess it's calming like the poppies in Wizard of Oz, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I visited those. I went all over both islands because, like I said, I lived in a van.
You were there. All right, so that's wild. And you were doing it before it was cool, so you can call yourself, the bleeding edge, not just cutting edge. So how did you land in the space of furnishing Airbnbs, and how do you find your clientele? Give us a little bit of the story of how that came to be. And I guess you can weave in what you're doing with how you landed there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the company is called Arya Design Services, and we furnish rentals all over the country. Last year, we did 37 units in 11 states. And this year, we're on track to double that. And how it all started is I posted photos of my furnished rental with the information that I furnished it from 8,000 miles away. I was living in my van in New Zealand, and I furnished a furnished rental in Omaha. And everyone's asked 2 questions. They asked, how did you do that? And can you do that for me? And to be completely honest with you, I was like, no.
What are you talking about?
And then I was like, well, wait a minute. What would an entrepreneur do? And I had read the book, Who Not How. And so, yep. You have it?
Here, I mean, well, I have another one of Dan Sullivan's books here, but that's who wrote that.
Exactly. And so I took what I learned from that book and I was like, okay, I don't want to be like the sole owner of this company because I own two other companies, but I see a need in the market and I know that we can do this from anywhere. And so that is one company where I do have a business partner. And I approached her with the idea and she said, heck yes. And now we've served almost 50 clients.
So I have to tell you, like, this is hitting home with me because I flipped a house in 2022, I flipped it and I thought about keeping it as a short-term rental, but I was so overwhelmed with the idea of furnishing it because I am not a nester. I am terrible. If you walk in my house, you'd be like, well, this is eclectic because nothing makes any sense. Half of it's inherited and half of it is from Goodwill because I'm so cheap. And then because I'm cheap, I was scared about not putting the right stuff in and doing it wrong. And so I flipped it and that was fine, but it would be a great return if I'd known you existed, Sarah.
Well, now you know.
Well, what would you do with somebody like me? So I call you and I say, hey, girl, hey, I've got this house over here. I think the location works. So I'm in real estate. I know the location bit. I know the demand bit. How do I get from point A to point B? So what do you do then? Do you find out my budget? Does my style matter? Does the area style matter? Tell us a little bit about the process.
Absolutely.
As my heart breaks inside at the loss of money.
Well, hey, this is how we learn lessons. And now you're going to go and find a rental this week. We'll furnish it next month and you'll call me and then we'll celebrate with the cash flow by going on a trip. So what we offer the whole gamut. So if you call us and let's say you were in the middle of the flip and you're like, wait a minute, I think that this could be a great rental. You can actually call us and we'll analyze the deal for you. So we give a report as a long-term rental, a medium-term rental, and a short-term rental. And you get that analysis. We charge $250 for that. So if that is something that you or your listeners need, please call us. Then if you decide that you do want it to be a furnished rental, there's 3 ways you can work with us. If you're more DIY, buy our furnished list. It's $99. It doesn't just tell you to buy sheets and spoons. It has the link to the sheets and the nightstands and the table that we recommend. It is not a customized design. So your 3-bedroom, you're going to have to figure out how to make the other bedrooms look different because the list just has, 1 bedroom set. But what I can tell you is that the list is worth its weight in gold because it's a spreadsheet. So you can write in the spreadsheet ordered, tracking, received, so that you're not 2 days away from your photographer coming and realize that you forgot to buy throw pillows.
And for taxes, that feels like it would be a perfect tracking mechanism for taxes and such.
Exactly. So that is $99. Great for any of our DIYers. If you're like, no, I don't want to be involved. I'm busy. I'm running my real estate sales business. I'm good at flipping. I'm not good at furnishing. Then there's 2 ways you can work with us. One is we will create a customized design. I love that you talked about the location. It's more about what's your competition and what's your strategy. So let's take an example. If you are a 5-bedroom house in Phoenix, Arizona, and you know that you have a really amazing outdoor space, there's an outdoor pool and an awning, and you want my team to come in and really design the outdoor space as well as the house, we're going to do that pretty top notch. Like your budget might be closer to $30,000 for something like that with all the outdoor furniture, maybe even a mural, some neon signs, maybe even a selfie room. Well, we don't need that in the 2-bedroom apartment that I did in Detroit, Michigan. Totally different. And so I work with the client with their budget, but I'm also telling them, hey, this is what your competition is doing. This is how to be just 10% better than your competition so that you're fully occupied. Because that's what I think is so important is I'm an investor before I'm a designer. And so I'm not going to have you buy a $300 cream Moroccan poof while I want one in my personal house. Maybe I'll fly to Morocco and pick one up myself. That's just going to get dirty. That's not going to last more than 5 guests. And that's a waste of time and money. And so I'm focusing on your bottom line and saving you money where I can, and then spending money where you're going to get ROI.
And I love how you talk about that incremental improvement. So I think a lot of people, when they're trying to do something better, they feel like they have to be 100% better than the competition, but you laid it out as 10% better. And we know that that's the win most of the time. It's just enough better, a little better value wins the day. So that's a brilliant angle you've hit there. So now let me ask you a question. In Airbnb world, of course, it's getting more and more competitive as more people have figured out the strategy and as more and more communities are looking at this as something that can start stemming some of the shortages we have for hotel rooms, or just for, I think in specific for me, that midterm rental is the biggest gap. Where's a travel nurse going to stay for 3 to 6 months, or a contractor? Hotel doesn't work. Long-term rentals don't mess with people less than 12 months. I think there's a huge opportunity there. So when you're looking at that and evaluating it, where are the markets that you personally think are the best opportunities when you put your investor hat on right now? If you are remotely awake, then you know that we are heading into some really tricky economic times. We have home buyers that have put the kibosh on buying. We have sellers who have found out suddenly their houses aren't dipped in 14 karat gold. And as a realtor, you are still trying to keep up with the business you have and trying to answer questions in the meantime, while also managing sky high fuel cost at the pump. Never fear, because my new video course is coming out right now, and it's called How to Dominate During a Recession. I've been a realtor for 22 years. My business went up every year during the Great Recession, and it's all because of education. This course is 4 modules. There might even be some bonus content for you. The price is $199. I am delighted to bring this out as quickly as possible because, friends, there's no time like the present to make sure our neighbors are stronger and we protect the American dream. Click on this link, www.dominatethisrecession.com, and I'll see you there. Now, back to this amazing content.
Yeah, I get asked this all the time. And the reality is that the medium-term rental strategy, which is a furnished rental, like a short-term, but you're going to be able to have your guests stay typically 90 days. I love that because when we're talking about competition, you only need 4 tenants a year. So let's not lose sleep over, oh, it has to be the best. It has to be the best market and the best location with the best decor. It does need to be really good. Like, we're not talking cell phone photos and like grandma's.
Well, that's true. They don't need the selfie room and the neon because they're not having a bachelor party every weekend.
Exactly. And so the reality is that there is no such thing as the best market. The best market, we're so used to that because I can Google best headphones or best microphone, which, by the way, I'm using neither of them right now, but I can Google the best Thai restaurant to eat at down the street, right? Like, that's our life. And I'm sure a lot of you listening are like, oh yeah, I'm super guilty of that. I Google the best because I want the best. The best market is going to be where you have the funds. So one of your buyers might have $300,000 cash, whereas another buyer has to be owner occupied so they can use that 3% down. And then another buyer might just he has $50,000 and that's all he has to work with. Well, guess what? Those 3 people are probably going to buy something different and have a different investing strategy. And then we can love a market all day long. Like, man, do I want to own a rental in this city? But if I don't have an investor-friendly agent sending me deals, I'm not going to invest there. Because
say that one more time, Sarah. Back that up for the people in the back. Say that again, honey. Say it.
If I don't have deal flow from an investor-friendly agent, I can love that market all day long, but I'm probably not going to buy something. And so I get asked, what's the best market? What's the best market? The best market is where your money makes sense for the strategy that you're doing and you have deal flow.
You are like 1,000 little Instagram quote buttons here. I mean, we could totally slice and dice this into all the great things, but I have to read to you something that was sent to me on Instagram message from a consumer because it totally applies to what you just said. You know, I don't normally like just read off my phone during a podcast interview, but this one is like, you're going to fall out. Where did she go? All right, team, yeah, I guess y'all can edit out while I'm hunting here. Edit her. Let's see. And then you'll pick back up in 1 second. I have too many emails here because I wasn't checking them. Okay. All right. So, Sarah, I had to go look to my phone, look at this message I got. This is not from my client. This is from a random consumer who reached out to me through social media with her frustrations. So you just mentioned having an agent who understands what you're buying. And I'll just read the one sentence. She said, I had 2 different agents, one who seemed to care immensely, but couldn't help me secure a property, and the other who offered no guidance because she didn't understand the deal. And bless it. I mean, right. So I've connected her to somebody who knows the product But there's so much isn't that incremental difference? They might all be great on one or two levels together, and those two might be great at something else in real estate. But this particular person needed something great over here. Oh my gosh, I could totally go with this in like 1,000 directions. I love you for being so insightful. Okay, so now as you've done some short-term rentals all over the place and you've got personal ones and you've helped other people, of course, we're crazy shit in real estate over here. I'm dying to know if you've seen something that was the dumbest waste of money you've ever seen, the worst short-term rental. Give us something that made you say, no, ma'am, this can't go on again.
Oh man. I mean, yeah, I have so many stories. I'll tell you one of my favorite things from being an agent. So I was an agent. I joked that I was an agent for about 5 minutes. I was a real estate agent for about a year, and I was so hungry. I was cold calling, like it was my life depended on it. And I was calling FSBOs and expired, for sale by owners and expired listings. And I got a listing presentation, a listing appointment at a house near the Army base in Killeen, Texas. I was living outside of Austin. And I go to this house and immediately, you know, like the hair on the back of your neck that sticks up. Well, I travel the world by myself. I've been to 47 countries on 6 continents, most of them by myself. When I get that feeling, I run.
Listen,
any bad story comes from, I had a bad feeling, then bam, got hit by a 2x4.
Amen.
Like that bad feeling you should always listen to. And I was a little desperate for money. So I was like, no, maybe this is an okay listing appointment. I think everything's going to be just okay. So I go inside the house and he won't turn the lights on.
What time of day was this?
Good point. It was in the middle of the day. So there was some daylight coming in, but everyone knows what it's like navigating a house with no lights on, daylight or not. It's creepy. I'm like, so can we turn on any lights? And he was like, no. I was like, oh dear God, what do I do? What do I do? Well, again, desperation is not it doesn't look good on anyone. It definitely doesn't look good on me. I went ahead and I did the listing appointment. I got the listing. And the reason I took the listing is he had another property in town that I knew that I could sell sight unseen, because it was just, the numbers were perfect. It was less than $30,000. It rented for $800 a month, room for improvement. It was a no-brainer. If I had known then what I know now, I would have just bought it. But again, desperation here, people. I didn't have any money. And so I took that listing and I ended up selling his other one in 4 days, of course, all cash. And I'm really glad that I went through it, but I look back and I'm just like, I'm never having a daughter. I'm never letting her be a realtor. Like, that was so dangerous.
I mean, it's so true. Like the crazy situations we get into, sometimes are of our own making, but like you said, you're trying to get the bills paid. And we do always feel like we've got this cloak of protection on us, which, I mean, you can have a hedge of protection, but you got to be smart about it. I would say, though, that if you had a daughter, she could get into real estate. We would just have to train her about agent safety, and she would hear it from us about, you know, carrying concealed and all that, because you can do that in Killeen, Texas, just like you can in Concord, North Carolina. Do you know my friend Jean Shine? She's been a realtor in Killeen forever. And
I don't think so. I don't know if I've met her.
The Shine team primarily works with people in and out of the base, but Jean is, I don't know, 5'2", and she's just a compact, tiny person. I bet they'd be scared to death to not cut the lights on. And she said, cut the lights on. But what a creeper. So what happened to him, by the way, after you sold the properties? Did you ever hear from him again?
Yeah. I mean, he was just a man. He was just a man in despair. He had a lot of things gone wrong in his life. And so I was really happy to help him get that property off his hands. And
look at you.
Yeah. He didn't have one nice thing to say about me, but I know that he was happy.
You know what? That's fine. That's on him, not on you, because you did what you were asked to do.
Yeah. And then then everyone knows what was my commission on like a $30,000 house.
You know what? Those dollars spend too. And you could go to the gas station and get a cup of coffee that you did not buy the day before.
Oh man, the things that we do, it's just laughable. But everyone out there, stay safe, learn from my mistakes.
That's right. And if you want to go on the listing appointment anyway, take a lender, take a broker, take somebody with you, because there's always strength in numbers. And since there's strength in numbers, and if you're thinking about short-term rentals, but you don't know how to put a team together, Sarah, how can they reach out to you so they can be like me, who is now already sitting here thinking about what I can go buy now that I know somebody that can help me make it look right?
Yeah, please do. So the company is called Arya Design, Arya. It actually comes from, I met my business partner in Bali. And so we met at a luxurious hostel. I say hostel and people are like, oh dear God, but you guys Google it. It's absolutely stunning. And so we wanted our name to do a little nod to where we met, and we met in Indonesia. She's from a small town in Iowa and I'm from Kansas, and we met in Bali. And so the company is Arya Design Services. You can go to aryadesignservices.com, or easier to spell, easier to remember is my website, sarahdweaver.com.
I used to live in Iowa, so now you have extra cred since your business partner is from Iowa. And my favorite town in Kansas is Garden City. So there's my shout out to my favorite southwest corner of the state. I love it so much.
That is wild. What had you in Iowa?
Well, I used to sell chainsaws. So my territory was the entire state. And I brag about being the only person who's been in every county in Iowa that was not running for president. All right, friends. I hope that you are as enchanted by Sarah and her business as I am. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us some insights about how we can put some people together to make a team and do big things.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, give her some love in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. And most importantly, come back again. We'll see you next time. As always, I'm so super thrilled that you joined in for more crazy shit. And if you're a realtor, investor, inspector, lender, or just a regular human being who happens to have an unbelievable story that you need to tell the world about, or frankly, you just need to one-up the story you just heard, then make sure to DM me on Instagram at Leigh Thomas Brown, or tweet me at Leigh Brown, or frankly, any social network where you hang out. I'm there. And if you had some fun, then you totally want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.